Over here. What's up? You wanna run it two in one night?
Yeah.
What's up? You wanna run it two in one night?
Absolutely.
You wanna run it two in one night?
Mayweather has warned Jake Paul that he will end him if Mike Tyson fails to do it in their bout. Attention is now focused on November 15th and the contentious match involving 58-year-old Tyson. This bout, despite being professionally sanctioned, will feature more lenient rules than a standard fight if it proceeds as planned. Shawn Porter, the two-time welterweight world champion, claimed that he does not see that occurring. He said, "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but we're not going to see Mike Tyson get in the ring with Jake." Paul Porter speculates that Julio Cesar Chavez, who won victorious on the same event as Paul and Perry and earned the Bug's support to face Paul for a championship, would replace Tyson as Paul's opponent, claiming that the Tyson scenario was never rational in the first place. Porter revealed, "I see Chavez doing it, and maybe he goes back to Freddie, Roach, and they can make some magic again. I don't call the shots, but I don't see Mike stepping into the ring. It didn't make sense to me from a commercial aspect. And Mike and Jake, even at the lowest common denominator, didn't make sense." Sean O'Leary, the UFC champion, believes Jake Paul will knock out Mike Tyson after the YouTuber stopped Mike Perry on Saturday night in Florida. Paul knocked down bare-knuckle world champion and ex-FC star Perry 3 times, causing the referee to stop the contest. Now focus on preparing for his rescheduled showdown with heavyweight legend Tyson Paul, who will be 30 years younger than the 58-year-old. Later this year, Tyson is likely to be the obvious favorite in their next battle slated for 8 2-minute rounds. Al Ali expects Paul to overcome Tyson within the scheduled distance if the event proceeds. Discussing Jake's triumph versus Mike Perry, Ali commented that a few of the knockdowns were quite brutal and impressive. He remarked that Jake seemed to be improving with each fight and expressed his excitement for the upcoming Jake versus Mike Tyson match. Anticipated that the fight might have a similar outcome, noting that Tyson, being nearly 60, is 30 years old. "Jake were pretty brutal, goddammit, that was sweet. Jake looks like he's improving with single battle, and I'm excited to continue to watch him face Mike Ty. I feel like it might look similar to that, because Mike Ty is approaching 60. Jake is 30 years younger, so I think it might seem comparable. But I'll do Jake Paul versus Mike. Harry him a Jake Paul Mike Perry bare-knuckle Jake Paul versus Nate Diem, which Jake is undertaking after his triumph over Perry. Pa issued a surprising challenge to UFC light heavyweight world champion Alex Pereira. The Brazilian fighter, who also held the middleweight belt, is not anticipated to be let go by UFC CEO Dana White because he recently won an 8-year contract renewal with the company. However, Ali gave Paul a shard of hope in his ambition to meet the dangerous champion. Ali claimed that Jake is slated to fight Mike Tyson in November, but he also called out Alex Perry. He believed that the fight with Pereira would only happen if Dana White decided to allow it, expressing irritation over witnessing Jake defeat UFC fighters. Oli envisaged a bout between Alex Pereira and Jake Paul, noting Pereira's great strength, but pointing out that he frequently throws punches from his hips, making him vulnerable. He contrasted this to Mike Perry's chin, which was exposed and off balance, making him an easy target. What's next for Jake Paul? Jake Paul I think he already has a bout booked. He's facing Mike Tyson in what November-December called out Alex Peta. That fight won't happen unless Dana says, "I'm sick of seeing Jake beat all these UFC guys. I'm not giving an imagine Alex Peta versus Jake Paul. That's an dude. Alex has insane strength with both hands, but the dude throws from his hips as if he's not there to be hit, which was a big thing about Mike Perry. He was there to get hit. His chin was floating. He was throwing punches. He was off balance, and his chin was simply waiting to get hit. Alex P. is dude. I met that dude scary big. He's just his hand for Ali," praised Jake for his strategic planning, highlighting that the most crucial aspect after a fight is setting up future opportunities, which Jake excels at. And he pointed out that Jake is already scheduled to fight Tyson and is actively calling out his next opponents. Molly acknowledged Jake's boxing skills, dedication, and high level of performance, but he noted that people want to see Jake compete against the top fighters in the world. He suggested that it is out to accurately gauge Jake's true ability until he faces someone ranked in the top 30 after a fight. The biggest thing is what's next, and you've got to set yourself up for those opportunities. And Jake's doing that better than anyone. Right now, he's already calling out who's next. Jake wants to be the champion. What cruiserweight? I don't even know what weight class that is. I want to see you against the true greatest fighters in the world, or at least up there. So Jake's boxing skill, he definitely has boxing skills. He's definitely dedicated, definitely very high level. But how good is he? You can't really determine that until you see him again against the guy in the top. While if 58-year-old Mike Tyson can't make it to the ring in November, another MMA superstar is ready and waiting for the opportunity to silence the problem child once and for all after Jake. Paul's spectacular sixth-round knockout of Mike Perry and his daring challenges to both Mike Tyson and UFC champion Alex Pereira. Darren Till quickly stepped up as a potential backup opponent in case Tyson is unable to compete. In November, he said Pereira is under contract and Mike Tyson is in no-fit state. I am the same. Size and weight, are we fighting or in? I got ducked the last pullout with Tyson, and they got that __ Perry to step in instead of me. I'm here and I'm going to say nothing else. I'll wait for the call, even though he said he wouldn't. Call comment further until gave an interview a few hours later. He mentioned the Paul versus Perry boxing match and the possibility of fighting the problem child himself. He remarked, I didn't even watch the fight, but from the clips I've seen it was atrocious. It was just low level. Striking. Jake, to be honest, Paul was gassed after the first round, and I have no idea what Mike was doing in there. I am genuinely rather flabbergasted. Jake was terrible, and so was Mike earlier this month, until he made a victorious debut in the boxing ring during the main Carter Social knockout in the UA. But his win was marred by a bit of controversy when a scuffle broke out in the ring after his opponent chose not to continue when questioned about any communication from Paul's team concerning the November event on Netflix. Till admitted that despite being an ideal backup opponent, his calls have gone uninserted. I'm 6'1", weigh 225 pounds, and I can box like __ Jake Paul will not fight me, and I have heard nothing at all. My offer is that you are so lucky that you would not fight me because I would punch holes in Jake. Paul, listen, I respect the businessman. I respect the fact that he's actually dedicated his whole life to boxing. I respect a lot of things, but I would seriously injure Jake Paul in a ring. So why does a former UFC fighter think he could get his hand raised against the problem child in the boxing ring? Simply put, I'd be too technically tactical for him here. Till highlighted how his extensive experience in MMA, along with examples from fighters like Israel Adna, Anderson Silva, and Robert Whittaker, demonstrates how striking skills can set apart performance in the cage versus the ring. He said it's not necessarily the shots we throw, it's the setups and the technical aspect behind it. And I'd lead him into stuff he wouldn't even know was happening. I'd piece him up, and it took me about 3 rounds to figure Jake Paul is going to fight Darren Till, visibly annoyed by the continuous disdain for his request to confront Paul. He still has enough of high-profile names to choose for a riveting bout, including several of Paul's prior rivals, he noted. I would love to fight Nate Diaz. I would want to fight Georgia Embiid. I would love to fight Tommy Fury. I'd like to combat KSI, Mike Perry. I'd love to fight all of these guys. But for some reason, my name doesn't get mentioned. Maybe I'll just fight myself. To be honest, I want to go back to MMA, but at the moment, I'm just trying to get through each day. On the other hand, Demetrius Johnson